Let's go, Cupcake. I will personally drive you around a NASCAR track for 30 minutes, or when you pass out on lap 30. Those are the exact words a NASCAR Hall of Famer just used to publicly humiliate one of the most powerful sports media voices in America. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith went on his SiriusXM show, looked at the entire NASCAR garage, and declared that drivers are, quote, not athletes. That a NASCAR driver is no different from a 70-year-old grandpa behind the wheel. And the response? It's been one of the most unified, brutal, public takedowns in modern NASCAR history. Kurt Busch challenged him. Joey Logano called him out. Ryan Preece dared him to flip 13 times. Mike Joy roasted him on the Fox broadcast during the Talladega race itself. A Jay Allmendinger delivered a 4-word burn that's already gone viral. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why Stephen A. Smith may have just picked the worst possible fight of his entire career. Let's start with exactly what was said and exactly when. According to Awful Announcing's reporting, the comments came on Stephen A. Smith's Mad Dog Sports radio show on SiriusXM during a discussion about where LeBron James ranks among the all-time greatest athletes for career longevity. A caller suggested NASCAR Hall of Famer Richard Petty, the 7-time Cup Series champion, and Stephen A. went off. According to Awful Announcing, Fox News, and Heavy.com all reporting his exact quotes, Smith said, "Come on, man, that don't count. You driving a car? I'm being honest, it's a great sport. But come on, bro. Getting behind the wheel of a car is not the same." Then he doubled down. "You can be behind the wheel of a car in your 60s and 70s for crying out loud. A golfer is not an athlete. A NASCAR driver is not an athlete." And then the line that really set the garage on fire. Smith said, quote, "If you're out there doing stuff that grandmas and grandpas can do, I'm not going to look at you that way." He even mocked the idea by asking, quote, "NASCAR is a sport. Are they athletes too because they can get behind the wheel of a car and drive 100+ miles per hour around the track 500 times? You trying to tell me they're athletes too?" Within 24 hours, Kurt Busch, the 2004 Cup Series champion and a recent NASCAR Hall of Fame inductee, fired back. According to the Daily Downforce, Yardbarker, and Heavy.com, all reporting the same quote, Busch went directly to social media and wrote, "Let's go, Cupcake. I will personally drive you around a NASCAR track for 30 minutes, or when you pass out on lap 30. That single sentence detonated across NASCAR Twitter. A Cup champion publicly calling Stephen A. Smith Cupcake, predicting he'd literally lose consciousness in the passenger seat. And here's why that challenge isn't a bluff. According to Yardbarker's reporting, NASCAR drivers regularly battle G-forces in excess of 4 Gs in corners. That's the same range trained Air Force fighter pilots pull. Cockpit temperatures routinely exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Drivers maintain elevated heart rates for over 3 straight hours per race. And under those conditions, untrained passengers in ride-along programs have, in documented cases, passed out. Kurt Busch wasn't being dramatic. He was being literal. And he wasn't done yet. Because the rest of the NASCAR garage was about to pile on. According to Front Stretch's reporting from Saturday, April 25th at Talladega Superspeedway, the entire NASCAR Cup Series field used the bullpen media availability to respond. And not a single driver defended Stephen A. Smith. Denny Hamlin, according to Essentially Sports reporting, said, quote, "I know that no general person would ever be able to go do what I do in the race car. And is it athletic? I don't know. I think it is. We endure a lot of G-forces and temperature and heart rate, things like that. Ross Chastain went straight to the motive. Per Essentially Sports, Chastain said, "Well, it's for the attention. That's what he made a career out of that." William Byron got even more pointed, telling Essentially Sports, quote, "I think if he came and experienced what we did and understood the physical side. Yeah. I'm not going to dunk a basketball, you know. I'm not going to do those things." Chase Briscoe took the high road, telling Essentially Sports, "It's disappointing. I think what we do is a very high level. Every single person in the world drives a car down the highway and thinks it's the same. But it's completely opposite." And Bubba Wallace gave the most balanced answer, saying, quote, "I think there's a lot of non-athletic drivers, but there's also a lot of athletic drivers. I feel like we can hold our own in a multitude of sports." But the response that broke the internet? It came from A.J. Allmendinger. According to Essentially Sports reporting from the same Talladega bullpen, when reporters asked Allmendinger what he thought about Stephen A. Smith's comments, the Cowlig racing veteran simply said, "Never heard of him." That's it. 4 words. No elaboration, no defensive monologue, no long explanation about G-forces, just complete dismissal. The clip went viral within hours. NASCAR Twitter ran with it. And the implication was devastating. Because Stephen A. Smith's entire career is built on being the loudest voice in sports media. To have a Cup Series driver publicly say he doesn't even know who you are, that's the most brutal possible response. Then came Joey Logano. According to Sportsnaut's reporting on April 25th, the 3-time Cup Series champion told Front Stretch, quote, "People like that have to make comments to stay relevant." Read that line again. A 3-time champion is publicly calling Stephen A. Smith desperate for attention. And he's not wrong, because the entire model of First Take and Smith's brand is built on engagement-driven hot takes that generate rage clicks. Then there's Ryan Preece. The RFK racing driver delivered what might be the most physically uncomfortable comeback of all. According to Front Stretch and Yardbarker, Preece said, quote, "He can have an opinion all he wants. I'd love for him to go tumbling 13 times, have black eyes, and show up next week doing what you got to do." Now that quote hits different when you know the context. Back in 2023 at Daytona, Preece's car went airborne on the backstretch. According to multiple outlets, his car barrel rolled 13 times before finally coming to rest. He had black eyes. He had to have hospital evaluations. And the next week, he was back in a race car doing his job. So when Preece tells Stephen A. Smith to go tumble 13 times, he's challenging him to do something he himself has actually survived. Then Jesse Iwuji weighed in. According to the Daily Downforce, Iwuji wrote, quote, "I played D1A football at Navy for 4 years, and I race NASCAR part-time now. Racing drivers are athletes." That's a Division I college football player who races stock cars saying, from direct personal experience, that NASCAR is athletic. There's no rebuttal to that. Then the teams themselves got involved. According to Heavy.com's reporting, Front Row Motorsports posted a public message to Stephen A. Smith that quickly went viral. The team wrote, quote, "Stephen A., what's going on, my man? We heard that absolutely preposterous take of yours claiming NASCAR drivers aren't athletes, and quite frankly, we were stunned." Stunned. Then they made it concrete. Per Heavy.com, the team continued. "So here's what we're gonna do. We're inviting you to step out of that studio, come down here, and hop in for a ride along with one of our 3 Cup Series drivers. Then you can tell the world how not athletic it feels going 180 miles per hour, pulling G-forces and fighting that wheel for 3 straight hours. We'll be waiting. That's an entire Cup Series organization, 3 full-time teams, publicly calling out Stephen A. Smith and offering him a real-world test he almost certainly cannot pass. And as of this video being made, Stephen A. Kuti has not accepted. But the moment that made it impossible for Stephen A. to ignore, that came on Sunday, April the 26th, during the Talladega race itself. According to Awful Announcing, Fox play-by-play announcer Mike Joy, one of the most respected voices in NASCAR broadcasting, addressed the controversy live during the race. Joy said on the Fox broadcast, quote, "Earlier this week, a well-known online pundit said race car drivers are not athletes. I want to send him this sequence and ask him to think about it." That comment, delivered while the broadcast was showing footage of drivers wrestling cars at over 180 miles per hour through Talladega's pack racing, was the moment the controversy went from radio rant to industry-wide event. A Fox Sports broadcaster on a national broadcast calling out Stephen A. Smith in real time. That doesn't happen. Until now. So here's where this lands. Stephen A. Smith made a comment on a Sirius XM radio show. That comment triggered a unified response from a Cup champion, a 3-time Cup champion, a 2004 champion turned Hall of Famer, an entire Cup Series team organization, and one of the most respected play-by-play broadcasters in motorsports. Kurt Busch challenged him to a 30-minute ride. Joey Logano called him desperate for relevance. Ryan Preece dared him to flip 13 times. A Jay Allmendinger said he'd never heard of him. Front Row Motorsports offered him a public test. Mike Joy roasted him on live Fox TV during the Talladega broadcast. And as of right now, Stephen A. Smith has not accepted a single one of those challenges. The ball is in his court. So tell me in the comments, is Stephen A. Smith going to actually take Kurt Busch up on that ride-along? Or is he going to do what he always does and just move on to the next hot take? Hit the like button if you want more deep breakdowns like this one, and subscribe. Because Talladega just happened, the standings just shook up, and we're going to be all over what's next. See you there.